Ever wonder how a single idea, just one person's passion, can create a ripple that travels all the way across the globe? Well, we're about to find out. We're going to dive into the story of television host Jo Bond, who turned her own personal mission on sustainability into this incredible platform for worldwide change. You know, everything really starts with a why, right? And for Jo Bond, it began right here. Growing up, she got to see firsthand this one fundamental truth. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, the basics, clean air, fresh water, they're absolutely non-negotiable. This isn't just some abstract environmental issue, it's a human one. And that core belief, well, it shapes everything that comes next. So, okay, how do you go from just having a passion to building a whole platform? For Jo, it was never about chasing the spotlight. It was all about one pivotal moment, a completely unexpected opportunity that kind of launched her from behind the scenes right into the center of the conversation. Now, this is what's so interesting. Her journey was completely unexpected. She pitched an idea, not for herself, but to shine a light on the unsung heroes of sustainability. The station loved it so much, they basically said, "This is a great idea. Now you go lead it." And just like that, from that one surprise, plus a ton of hard work, an award-winning show was born. And this brings us right to the heart of her show's mission. It's called The Bond, and that name is perfect. The goal isn't to lecture people or sell sustainability. It's something way more profound. It's about translating those subtle messages from nature into a language that we can all understand, and more importantly, act on. And here's what makes her approach so powerful. It's all about empowerment. The show's core message is that you don't have to live out in the middle of nowhere to connect with nature. Real, meaningful change can start with one small action, right where you are, right now. So, what does it actually mean to bond? Well, it's not just one thing. It's about reconnecting with the natural world, with animals, and with essential things like water. But, and this is just as important, it's also about bonding with each other, with our communities, and with the simple act of helping someone out. The show really truly comes to life through the stories it tells. It's all about finding those quiet innovators, you know? The people who aren't looking for fame but are out there on the ground solving massive problems with just pure ingenuity and a whole lot of heart. Let's look at a few. This first story is just wow. One of her guests had lost his own home in a natural disaster, and he didn't just rebuild, he completely reinvented. He used technology, a giant 3D printer, to build new homes for other people, turning his own personal tragedy into a solution that, as the source material puts it, literally repaired despair. And this one, it brilliantly shows the connection between animal welfare and our own well-being. After going through a tough loss, another guest found comfort just being around cows. So what did she do? She started a sanctuary that not only saves animals, but also gives people a place to come and heal. I mean, just look at the creativity here. An organization realized that veterans with PTSD really rely on their support dogs. So they designed this totally unique kayaking program, complete with special dog-sized life jackets, so that veterans and their best friends could find a little peace together out on the water. But these stories aren't just feel-good anecdotes. They're actually examples of a much larger philosophy in action. And this is where Jo Bond starts to reframe this often intimidating concept of climate justice into something that feels positive and doable for everyone. I love this definition. It's so simple, yet so profound. Cool minds, warm hearts. The idea is that sustainability isn't supposed to be some heavy, emotional burden. It's a logical choice. That's the cool minds part. And that choice leads to a better, more welcoming world for all of us. That's the warm hearts outcome. It's about taking care of nature so we can all thrive together. Okay, so how do we actually do this? It comes down to two key principles. First, sustain, don't blame. Instead of getting bogged down in who did what wrong in the past, let's just focus on the goal of a better future. Second, act local to impact global. This is the perfect answer to feeling overwhelmed. That one small choice you make, like using a reusable mug, it really truly does add up. And you know, this naturally leads to bigger, more systemic questions. Instead of just fighting against the old systems, can we maybe incentivize them to change? The source poses this exact question. What if we created policies that actually made it profitable for major energy companies to pivot to cleaner stuff? It's about starting a completely different kind of conversation. So, after this entire journey, what are the key takeaways? Jo Bond kind of boils down her whole experience into 5 crucial lessons. For anyone out there trying to make a change, you can think of this as hard-won wisdom, straight from the front lines. First up, the lesson of the idea itself. As Jo Bond puts it, new ideas are impossible, right up until the moment they become inevitable. And that big shift, it only happens when 3 things finally line up perfectly: the data to prove it, the public demand for it, and the design to make it all work. Lesson number 2 is a big one. Collaborate. When you're trying to build a better world, the people you might see as rivals are actually your greatest allies. Partnering up doesn't just help a little, it makes everyone so much stronger. The third lesson is really for leaders. Absorb risk. You have to be the one willing to take the hit when new, untested ideas don't work out. But here's the key thing to remember. Every single failure is a lesson. It's not a setback, it's just data that makes the next idea that much better. Lesson 4 is so simple, but man, it is incredibly difficult. Patience. Lasting change and real, solid partnerships, they don't happen overnight. You've got to be patient enough to let those little ripples build into waves. And the final lesson ties it all together beautifully. Research to change. It's a direct path. Solid research builds the idea, that idea builds momentum, and that momentum is what creates real, tangible change in the world. So, when you put it all together, what have we really learned? It's that these huge, world-changing movements, they don't start with a tidal wave. They start with a single person's why, a single idea that creates one small ripple, which then grows and grows and grows. And that brings us to the final, most important question. This isn't really about what Jo Bond did, but about what her story can inspire in all of us. You've seen how these ripples of change begin and how they expand. So the only question left is, what's the first one you can create?